With a total estimated cost of $400 million, the largest Ohio project by far to receive stimulus funding will be the I-90 Innerbelt Bridge. And I'll talk more about the bridge in a moment. But I want to point out that the $85 million in stimulus funding specifically for the Innerbelt Bridge, along with these other projects, represent a share of more than $250 million in transportation stimulus investments in the Cleveland area. This includes $142 million in stimulus-funded infrastructures by ODOT, $44 million allocated to NOACA, $19 million in aviation stimulus funds invested in taxiway construction and a new aircraft parking apron at Cleveland Hopkins Airport. Finally, $50 million in transit stimulus funds have been directed to the Greater Cleveland RTA and Lake Tran. In addition to the investments made possible by the stimulus, ODOT is currently managing approximately $500 million of non-stimulus funded active construction projects in the Cleveland area, including the major reconstruction projects along I-77, over $90 million. Interstate 271 and Mayfield Road interchange, $17.5 million. State Route 2, $85.8 million in Lake County, and nearly $25.5 million in non-stimulus funds to replace two aging bridges which carry I-90 traffic over the Grand River in rural Lake County. As we look to the future, ODOT has committed up to $20 million to the Opportunity Corridor for needed design and planning work. And we had hoped to use stimulus funds on the design work for what we consider a really transformational project. While agreeing that this project would have created and retained good-paying design and engineering jobs and was technically eligible for funding under the Recovery Act, the U.S. Department of Transportation expressed a very clear preference that stimulus funds be directed toward construction rather than planning projects. So to be responsive to U.S. DOT and to keep our promise to Cleveland, we pulled funding from other planned projects and redirected those state and federal funds here to Cleveland. We are making these historic investments in the Cleveland area because we know that a vibrant, well-connected Northeast Ohio is a key to Ohio's future. The Innerbelt Bridge, a subject of much discussion. Some of our transportation, conversation this afternoon will most assuredly focus on what the governor and I have both said is the highest and most pressing transportation issue in the state, the Innerbelt Bridge. I don't want our conversation to dwell on one project too long because the economic recovery and growth potential of this city are not defined only by a bridge, but the future safety of those who travel on this bridge every day is our top priority. Let's start to talk about what we're doing right now as we speak to keep the bridge safe. We're in the middle of more than $10 million of investment in the Innerbelt Bridge Safety Plan. Existing traffic on this bridge is safe today, and by beginning of next year, lanes and ramps are expected to open to full traffic because of the investment we are making now. Second, the replacement bridge. At $400 million, the new Innerbelt Bridge will represent the largest single project that ODOT has ever undertaken. The stimulus allowed us to prioritize the replacement of this bridge instead of just doing major rehabilitation. And we're taking the very unique step of advancing this project as a design-build effort. Simply put, a design-build project combines design and construction in one competitively bid contract, and typically it saves you time and saves you money, and it works. Florida, for example, their DOT found a 37% time savings in the design-build projects they invested in. Finally, the work we do to replace this bridge will reflect the diversity of this city. It will be a bridge of which I believe you will be very proud. Also today, I'm proud to announce that we at ODOT, with the encouragement of our governor, have set one of the department's highest minority and small business enterprise goals on the Innerbelt Bridge replacement project. Contractors who bid on this project will be encouraged to reach a 20% goal, if not higher, on subcontracting and hiring minority and disadvantaged businesses. Goals will also be set on outreach to small business and those businesses owned by our veterans. And we will require the winning contractor to invest in extensive on-the-job training. Since this project will last through the year 2013, there is a tremendous opportunity to train the engineers and workers of tomorrow right here in Cleveland. This 20% goal means $80 million in work will go to our minority businesses. While federal law does not allow us to require companies be from Northeast Ohio, we can assure you that we will be closely watching to see who gets these jobs. A future for transportation choice for all. As I mentioned, we've made a commitment to investing in safer and greener transportation choices, and this is a commitment to multimodal choices where you choose the best transportation answer for a transportation question. For a growing number of Ohioans, transportation choice means transit, and I want to compliment Joe Calabrese and his whole team who run such an outstanding, nationally recognized urban transit system. Joe has been a great partner for us. I know they're making tough budget decisions right now, and in coming months we will be making announcements about new ways for the department and others to work together to support transit so that you can add routes, not cut them, and keep fares at a reasonable rate. For business, especially here in northeastern Ohio, transportation choice means maritime. Ohio has invested more stimulus money in waterport projects than any other state in the United States. Today, ODOT stands at the forefront on national maritime programs as the lead state on the I-90 Marine Highway Corridor being developed through the U.S. Maritime. We're also taking the lead on the Ohio River Marine One Corridor. We've joined Cleveland in early discussions with the Canadian Transport Ministry about possibility of cross-lake ferry service for freight and passenger. At ODOT, maritime is at last at the same level of importance as all the other modes. We have created the Office of Maritime, and we are excited about its possibilities. We will advocate for the use of waterways for freight and goods movement. ODOT is now a full partner at the table of the Ohio Port Authority Council, and we're actively a part of the conversation on moving the Cleveland Port. Transportation couldn't be discussed without some pedal power. I want to compliment your efforts here in Northeast Ohio to construct and complete the pedestrian trail all the way to Lake Erie. It is indeed our greenest travel choice. Finally, I couldn't have this conversation without talking about a travel choice far too few Ohioans have, and that's passenger rail. I began this week, as some of you know, in Chicago with the governor, where he signed a historic memorandum of understanding with 7 other governors and the mayor of Chicago. Under this MOU, there will be a steering committee which will help us compete and win to bring money from the $8 billion available back to Ohio. We need the strength and support of all. Let me just tell you, there will be intense competition. The Federal Railroad Administration received 278 pre-applications covering 40 states and seeking $102 billion in funding, and we've got 8. So you can imagine what it means. We need to fight for those dollars with everything we've got, because Ohioans are demanding rail, and I know there are coalitions throughout the state. I know that 64% in polling support this strongly. We need your involvement